Well, good day, everyone. Right, I'm set up now. I had to send out an email. Oh, give me just a second. That's a little bit too bright with the sun shining behind me, washing out the camera when I move my head. Right, so fix that. It's a wonderful background, isn't it? A bit bland. Right, so I've given you a few links in the description for this video. This is for Christians and conservatives who have traditional values. And if you say to me, oh, but I'm a Christian and I vote leftist, you're not a Christian. Or you really need an education in what Christian values for politics are. There's nothing in the Bible that says that the government should provide welfare, health, education. The government's job is law and order. That's what the Bible teaches. So that you may vote leftist because you didn't know, but most likely you vote leftist because you're not born again. You're not a Christian, not according to the Bible's definition. If you're a conservative and have traditional values that agree with what the Bible teaches politics is for, then this video is for you, as well as you don't have to be a Christian for you to get value out of this video, is the point that I'm trying to make there. So how to vote. I'm going to bring up some things on the screen and I'll give you the link that I'm going to. I've already given you some links, but you then need to follow links within those links, and I'll show you how to do that. So let's start at the AEC homepage. And I'll show you that. So this is first of all to figure out who your candidates are, how to vote, where to vote, all of that sort of thing. So I've given you the aec.gov.au link. So the first one that you have there, where can I vote? So I'll right click on that and open in a new tab. And who are my candidates? I'm right clicking on that and opening in a new tab. But for what I'll do so that you can see it, I'll just click on where can I vote? And when do you need to vote? So if you want to vote before election day, or if you want to vote on election day. I like voting on election day. I think it's safer. I am going to put in a dummy email address, not my current one. And so I'm going to say that I live in WA. This is where I used to live. Find polling places. So if I wanted to vote in Kununurra at East Kimberley College, that's the high school, essentially. It's primary and high, but they call it a high school, or they used to. Now they call it a college. I don't know who makes these decisions. But yeah, that's what's happened. So you can then find out where do I vote. So I'll do that later for where I actually live now. I'm not going to do that on screen. So that's that one. Let's go back to the home page. So that's where can I vote? And of course you can follow that through to find other places to vote beforehand. Who are my candidates? Right now, this is the very interesting one. So once again, they ask, where are you enrolled? So once again, I'll do my dummy where I used to live. And then it'll show me below. So I just scroll down. These are the candidates for where I used to live. So first of all, for the lower house, which is called the House of Representatives, and she's the current member, Liberal Party WA division. And they've also got Australian Federation Party, the Great Australian Party, the West Australian Party, which are all very small. One Nation beat them last election. I don't know that they all ran last federal election, but they were all very small. This was the party I ran for last election in this electorate. Pauline Hanson's One Nation, so I hope he can do better than me. He's got more money and time than I do, so he might be able to bump it from, I was just below 10%. I almost beat the Nationals. They were just above 10%, just barely above 10%, 10.1%, and they have way more money. Way more money. The Nationals should have got a large proportion of the vote because it's country Australia, but the Nationals in WA appear to be completely clueless. Yeah, most of, I don't know. I'm really disheartened, disillusioned with Australian politics on the Conservative side. I've been involved in a couple of different parties so far, and it seems to me that they're incompetent. They're not interested in working at the grassroots. It's all done in the major cities, which is not where they get their votes. They get their votes mostly in the country. The country outside the cities, outside the metropolitan areas, is far more conservative. But they don't work in the country areas. The election's coming up. Oh, can you please vote for us? We've got 6 weeks to organise everything before the election happens. Why? Human beings are stupid, I guess. So the Greens are the most extreme left out of this list of parties that I can see here. So they'd definitely go last, in my opinion. The next worst is Australian Labor Party, definitely second last out of this list of people. Here's the order that I would vote. I don't know enough about Great Australian Party, West Australian Party, or the Australian Federation Party. Both of these sound like they are politically conservative in terms of the mechanics of politics, but where they stand morally, what their moral centre is in terms of, say, abortion, protection of marriage, and issues like that, or religious freedom, the right to say what God says without being thrown in jail. For example, being able to stand outside an abortion clinic and say abortion is murder. Where do they stand on issues like that? I have no idea. And it's very difficult to find these things out. This is one of the other things that I hate about Australian politics. You've got to ring each of the candidates individually. You've got to know all of the right questions to ask. You've also got to know all of the ways to navigate liars and manipulators and deceivers. It's not easy. Now, it should be. I mean, it's not like Australia has no Christians that could do this for us. Now, you say, oh, but they have, Graham. Yeah, on a major level, for the major parties, they do. But what about these smaller parties that tend to be more conservative so that we can rank them and help them grow? No, they mostly get ignored until they get a bit larger. And then the Christians go, oh, they're getting large enough. Christian groups. And I've given you some links. So there's the family values checklist, and there's the Christian values checklist. Family Voice, I think they call themselves, actually. So I've given you links to those things. That can give you some idea, but then there's a little bit more work that you need to do. And that's what I want to show you, how to do that extra work to determine little parties like these ones. I'll show you how to do that, or how I do it at least. Maybe there's a better way. If you find a better way, let me know. So I've ranked the parties, the two that I want to put last. Now I need to determine the other 6. And really it's a toss-up between moderately conservative to maybe quite conservative. I have no idea at this stage how I would rank all of those. I notice United Australia Party isn't here. So they decided not to waste their time with Durack again because they weren't successful last time. I thought they were. Oh, no, there's United Australia Party, 9. Okay, I was wrong. They do exist. So we have 7 moderately conservative. I don't know how conservative. That's my guess anyway, based on what I'm seeing the names here. And then we have the Senate. So this is WA. I'm showing you WA. I'll show you Queensland shortly because I live in Queensland. But I'm going to have to make up somewhere where I don't live because I'm trying not to dox myself, make it too easy. People can probably find me if they tried, but I don't want to make it too easy from this video because this could be a very controversial video. There are a lot of people who hate Christianity and hate conservatism and can become quite violent and stupid and evil. Right. Sheila Mundy. If I remember correctly, these two were in the lower house last election. Not successfully elected, but they ran for the lower house. So what I'm seeing here, it's pretty obvious they'd go near the end, maybe not quite last, because I think there are parties that are worse than them. Australian Christians, good, excellent. So Australian Christians are running. That will help me. Oh, no, this is WA. That doesn't help me in Queensland. Yeah, so what I do then is go through the parties that I have at least some trust of, but I also go through the parties I have no trust of and see who they put last. And those are the people that are most likely, and so I do the reverse of the parties I trust the least. Oh, by the way, for our international audience, 2 things that you need to know about the Australian system that are different, especially to America. Voting in Australia is compulsory. You can be fined for not voting. That's one difference. And, we can argue about the rights or wrongs of that. I actually agree with it. I think it is more democratic, and I can make an argument for that some other time. The other difference is that we have a preferential voting system. So your vote, so this one up here, the way that I've been talking, you're saying, why are you talking about who to rank better than others? Just pick one. Anyone, doesn't matter. No, it does. I have to put them in an order. I have to number every single box. And if my first preference doesn't get many votes, then my preference flows on to the next. And some morons go, oh, you're getting more than one vote. No, I'm not. My one vote is not being ignored. It flows on until we have a determination between the 2 most popular, right? So the least popular get eliminated and their votes flow on to the rest so that someone doesn't get voted with 30%. See, this is how Hitler got into power. They didn't have preferential system. They had 3 main parties. They had the Liberal Democrats, which was soft socialist. They had the communists, which were backed by Russia. And they had the Nazi Party, which were also very Marxist. Right? And people go, oh, Hitler's extreme right-wing. No, he wasn't. Absolutely was not extreme right-wing in any sensible definition of the word, except that he was a hardline nationalist. So the only way in which he was right-wing is that he didn't want Russia to rule the world. He wanted to rule the world, which is not right-wing. But he wanted to stop Russia from ruling the world. There was nothing right-wing about Hitler. That is such a stupid thing to say. You have to completely redefine right-wing to mean not conservative. He was not being conservative. He was being extremely progressive. Now, you can say, oh, he wanted to make Germany great again. Yes, he did. But the way he wanted to do that was extremely unconservative and extremely Marxist and dictatorial. And conservatives are not dictatorial. We're conservative. Look up the definition of the word conservative. We're cautious. We're careful. We don't move quickly, which is in some ways a disadvantage. But we hold to traditional values. Did Hitler hold to traditional values? No, he hated the church. He wanted to align with the church and get their votes. But he also wanted to destroy the church. He hated Jesus Christ. He called the laws of Mount Sinai, the 10 Commandments, were one of the most evil things. But he did most of this privately because Germany pretended to be Christian still. And so he couldn't say it outright. Right? Anyway, getting off track. Back to preferential voting. The reason he won was because the other two parties cancelled each other out, and he got more votes than the other two. But the other two parties supported each other. If they had had preferential voting, Hitler would never have won. Because a majority of Germans did not support Hitler and the Nazi party. But there were more Germans that supported the Nazi party than the other two parties individually, but not the other two parties combined. The other two parties supported each other more than they supported the Nazi party. It's also, and you know, people say good things about JFK. Yeah, but he was also a scumbag. He did some good things and he had some good stuff, but he was also a scumbag, and his family were a scumbag family. JFK got elected. When he first got elected, I think it was in New York, wherever it was that the Kennedys came from. His father ran another candidate with the same name against the opponent of JFK. Otherwise, JFK would have lost. And I can't remember whether it was in state elections for New York or whether it was Congress or Senate or whatever it was. I can't remember. This is the scumbaggery that can happen when you don't have preferential voting. So Americans, you need to switch to preferential voting. Does it necessarily produce a better system? Not always, because it also comes down to the hearts of people. And if people's hearts are corrupt, it doesn't matter how good a system you have. Anyway, let's keep going. So how do we rank the rest of the candidates? Right, well, there's a couple of ways. The first thing that I've shown you below this video, excuse me, there's the family voice values checklist and there's the Christian values checklist. So I'll show you those now. Family voice, let's do that one first. So this website, they give you lots of information, and mostly, unfortunately, they tend to focus on the Liberal and Labor Party, who are both evil. Both of them are evil. Liberals like to pretend that they support Christian values, but they lie and they lie and they lie and they lie and they never actually do it. So I would ignore this first bit because that's just the Liberal versus National. Who cares? That's Liberal versus National. Who cares? So do you want to support the honestly demonic, or the ones who lie about how demonic they are? And then we get down to here, and we've got only 6 parties. Why only 6? I don't know. But for some reason, they only care about 6 of the parties. And this is my point. Where's Bob Catter? Where's the Great Australian Party? Where's the Australian Federation Party? Where are other small parties? No. No, like I said, human beings are stupid. So you can check those out, right? So there's that link, and I would, you have to work a little bit harder, but that's a little bit of help. Now, let's try one other. And you may determine it's just not worth it. I'll just put one above the box. No, you can't just put one above the box. You must list, so in the Senate, you've got to tick, you've got to number at least 6 boxes, at least 6. And because the media is constantly only focusing on 2, Liberals and Nationals, and you almost never hear about the rest of them that are better, you've actually got to do a little bit of work. Don't be lazy. This is the problem. This is why politics goes downhill, because people go, meh. Now, this one here, they focus on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 parties. All right, so they include the Australian Federation Party, who are worse than both the Liberal Democrats and United Australia on these moral issues. All right, so there you go. That gives us an idea. So I'll put One Nation ahead of United Australia, ahead of Australian Federation, ahead of Nationals are probably next. It depends on the issue. Oh, yeah, no, Nationals are one tiny little fraction better than the Liberals. And then Labor, and then Greens. Out of those 8 parties, if you have them. Now, you can add in Australian Christians. Why Australian Christians aren't on that one? Australian Christians are better than One Nation on moral issues. So if you want to end abortion, for example, Australian Christians will be the strongest ones, or at least they say they are. Whether they actually would, because it seems to me they're quite incompetent. Whether they actually would, I have no idea. So that's the non-WA. The WA version would probably include Australian Christians. Let's see. Yep, Australian Christians are on there as well. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So they include 8. Whereas this one, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, so who's missing? So you've got One Nation, Liberal Democrat, United Australia, Australian Federation. One Nation, Liberal Democrat, United Australia, Australian Federation. Oh, no, Nationals. They've removed the Nationals. See, I told you. Nationals are extremely incompetent in WA. They don't even exist as someone to be concerned about, according to these people, and I agree. Incompetent fools. Now, once again, that's only some of the parties. But you've got some idea of the order of those parties. So then you go to how those parties order their preferences. So now let's do that. And I need to figure out where to find that. So give me just a second. I'll see if I can find it. That's for the candidates. That's useless. That's a PDF. Useless. PDF. Useless. Oh, I want the ones that list. So you're not telling us their preference order anymore. Okay, I may have to do some more research. So I've given you a start, and we'll see what comments people make if there's Australians who comment on this. But I expect that most of the comments will be from leftist trolls, because that's our world today, and YouTube is controlled by leftists. And I'm looking for a new home, but I haven't found one yet. I'd like to move off YouTube because I'm sick of YouTube. It costs millions of dollars to campaign. Well, it can, doesn't have to. This is the point that I've tried to make to the small parties. There are ways to work at the grassroots level by word of mouth, by holding local meetings, by getting on Facebook. Facebook's free, you morons. You don't have to spend millions of dollars, and you just build your way up slowly, slowly, slowly. You keep getting out word of mouth, and you keep attracting supporters, and some of them may have money. Anyway, I hope that's a good start. I will spend some more time investigating this, and I will be focusing on Queensland next time. If you have specific questions about your electorate, either your state, so for the Senate, or your local electorate for the House of Representatives, and you want me to help investigate the candidates that you have standing, please let me know. I actually enjoy this sort of research. I'm a politics nerd and a conservative, a Christian, biblical Christian conservative politics nerd. I'm actually one of those weird people who enjoys this sort of thing. And people think that weird is an insult. One of my friends recently called me weird, former friends, it seems, called me weird, thinking that that's a bad thing. No, I don't want to be normal. I don't want to be, I don't want to not be weird. Of course I'm weird. I'm a Christian. You should understand that, my Christian friend who called me weird. I care about right and wrong. I care about doing things the right way, and I don't care what anybody thinks. And you can call me weird, but I don't care that you call me weird. I want to be weird because I don't want to be normal. I don't want to fit in. Now, there's a wrong way to be weird, of course, but doing what's right is weird. So it's not an insult to call me weird. It's not wrong for me to be weird. You need to be a little more specific than that. You need to show me that I'm doing something wrong. Anyway, God bless you with your choices, even if you don't believe in him. May God guide you to the truth. That's the blessing that I wish for you. No other blessing, but that you follow the truth and do what's right. Because God can't bless you any other way. There is no other blessing. Nothing else means anything. Money doesn't mean anything. That's not a blessing. God may decide to bless you in that way, but he may decide to curse you in that way too. Anyway, I'll catch you next time. God bless you in the way that I have described. Bye.